Welcome back to Cinema Through the Ages, my series where I rank the 5 most iconic movies from each decade according to ChatGPT. Today, we're diving into the 1970s, a decade that saw the fall of Hollywood's traditional studio system and the rise of visionary directors like Scorsese, Coppola, and Spielberg. These filmmakers brought bold, personal styles to the mainstream. Stories grew darker and more complex, filled with morally ambiguous characters, political cynicism, and gritty realism. Genres were reinvented, narrative rules broken, and the decade gave birth to the modern blockbuster with Jaws and Star Wars, films that would forever change Hollywood. So, according to ChatGPT, the 5 most iconic films of the 1970s are Taxi Driver, The Godfather, Star Wars, Rocky, and Jaws. I'll be ranking them by my enjoyment, cultural influence, impact on cinema, and how well they've aged. Starting at number 5, Taxi Driver. This film is a gritty, grimy mirror held up to 1970s America, a country facing social unrest, disillusionment, and isolation. New York City is almost a character itself, portrayed as dark, violent, and decaying. Travis Bickle, played by Robert De Niro, is a deeply troubled Vietnam vet who takes the night job as a cab driver to escape his loneliness. What's fascinating about Taxi Driver is how it blurs the lines between hero and villain. Travis's violent tendencies and misogyny are unsettling, but the film asks us to empathize with his fractured psyche. De Niro's method acting, working as a cab driver and studying mental illness, gave us one of cinema's most iconic performances. Scorsese's subjective camera work and surreal lighting show Travis's unraveling mind with raw intensity, setting a new standard for psychological realism. Taxi Driver didn't just capture a moment, it influenced countless films that followed, inspiring directors to explore darker psychological themes with bold stylistic choices. Following at number 4 is Rocky. This isn't just one of the greatest sports movies ever, it's arguably the greatest underdog story on screen. Rocky redefined the genre, focusing not just on sport, but the person's emotional journey, their struggles, and growth. The film was made on a shoestring budget, yet it grossed over $225 million and won Best Picture at the Oscars. It proved indie films could compete with Hollywood blockbusters. Rocky became a full-blown cultural phenomenon. It gave us the most iconic training montage in film history. From Karate Kid to Kill Bill to Creed, training montages are now a common feature in movies thanks to Rocky. Speaking of Creed, the fact that Rocky has spawned an ongoing franchise speaks volumes about its legacy. Still not convinced? Visit the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Watch people, young and old, run up the steps and throw their arms in the air like Rocky Balboa. Then look to the side where the fans still line up to take a photo with the statue of a fictional character. That's how iconic Rocky is. At number 3 is Jaws. Jaws revolutionized cinema marketing and distribution. It was the first film to use a nationwide release strategy paired with a massive TV advertising campaign, creating the summer blockbuster season we know today. Spielberg's direction is a masterclass in suspense. The shark is barely seen, a limitation imposed by technical issues, but that only made the film scarier. The camera's point of view shots and John Williams' 2-note theme build terror incrementally. The result? Audiences were generally afraid to swim in the ocean for years, and sharks are now a feared creature. Jaws also launched Spielberg's career, cementing him as Hollywood's go-to director for big event films. This helped usher in a new era where directors, not just actors, became household names. Put simply, Jaws didn't just change the summer, it changed cinema. In what was a very difficult decision, coming in at number 2 is Star Wars. In simple terms, Star Wars is the most culturally iconic movie ever made. Star Wars was revolutionary technically, pushing special effects boundaries and inventing new filmmaking techniques. But its true magic was mythic storytelling. The hero's journey, the Jedi Knights, the battle of good versus evil, packaged in a thrilling sci-fi adventure. Star Wars set the standard for world building, creating a cinematic universe so immersive and so rich that would help birth modern franchise filmmaking. Instead of standalone movies, Hollywood began building extended universes with sequels, prequels, and spin-offs, all heavily merchandised to capitalize on super fandoms. The fandom around Star Wars is unprecedented, turning casual moviegoers into lifelong devotees. May 4th, Star Wars Day, is celebrated worldwide. Almost 50 years later, no fandom has stood the test of time quite like Star Wars. It remains multi-generational, global, and unlike anything else. And finally, at number 1, The Godfather. Often regarded as one of the greatest films ever made, The Godfather redefined the gangster genre, bringing epic storytelling, character depth, and moral complexity. Many people will argue that Part 2 is the superior film, and with valid reasoning, but simply put, Part 2 would not exist if it wasn't for the standards set by the original. Marlon Brando's Don Vito Corleone became the archetype for cinematic power and authority. The film's slow burn narrative focuses on Michael Corleone's tragic transformation from a reluctant outsider to ruthless mafia boss, a masterclass in character development. Its influence is everywhere. Goodfellas, Scarface, The Sopranos, American Gangster, even films outside the crime genre owe a debt to the tone and storytelling foundation laid by The Godfather. Like the others on this list, The Godfather also gave us some of the most iconic lines in film history.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Godfather trilogy set a new storytelling benchmark, inspiring generations of people from filmmakers to musicians and beyond. And that's my ranking of the most iconic movies of the 1970s, a decade that gave us some of the richest, most influential films in cinema history. Next time, we'll jump into the 1980s, where blockbusters reached new heights. See you soon.